What's up, guys? My name is PJ, and today I wanted to talk to you about intuition. I truly believe that our intuition is our best ally in this life. Our intuition is a source of guidance and wisdom that is way beyond our understanding, and it can help us tremendously on this journey of life if we learn to listen to it. Our intuition is always speaking to us, but we are too distracted or too not attuned to hear it. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some strategies and tactics that we can employ to help us hear our intuition more vividly and more clearly, because like I said, it's always speaking to us, and it's just a matter of us becoming better and more skilled and more attuned, really, and ultimately at hearing it. So let's begin by talking about why do we even want to care about listening to our intuition. Well, in my humble opinion, I believe that the best reason for us to listen to our intuition is that our intuition is actually tapped into and dialed into wisdom much greater than our own understanding. And the reason it's important for us to listen to it is because time is not a linear thing. Time is better understood more as like a holographic thing, where all aspects of time are happening simultaneously. So the past and the future are not part of a linear journey, but rather they're happening simultaneously. I know that's a big concept to wrap our heads around, but the truth of the matter is that life is a lot stranger than we'd like to believe and that we think. So time being not linear, it means that our future and past are sources of guidance for us to listen to and tap into. And the way we tap into that guidance, for example, what would happen in the future, is by listening now to our intuition. Because our intuition is that aspect of us that is actually dialed into that other aspect of us in that future timeline, so to speak, that already knows what will be the best course of action for us to follow in this present moment. So if we can just listen to that future aspect of ourselves through our intuition, then in every now moment, we will be able to make the best choices for our life and for our journey and for our destiny. So with that in mind, I believe that that is the most important reason for us to listen to our intuition. It's that our intuition is tapped into and dialed into wisdom way beyond our own understanding, and it can help us in this journey of life to navigate our life on this planet Earth as we perceive it in the best way possible, in a way that leads to the highest outcome for the greatest number of people. I truly believe that our intuition is always following this rule: the greatest number of good, or the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. So it's always thinking in every now moment, in every moment of our lives, that we're presented with an opportunity to make a choice, especially a choice that is impactful to a lot of other people, whether directly or indirectly. In every one of those choice points, our intuition is taking into consideration what would be the option that will be most conducive to the best for all who will be involved or affected by this choice, by this situation that we're making a choice in. So with that said, it's wise of us to listen to our intuition in every now moment, especially in those now moments that we're presented with the opportunity to make a choice that possibly can impact a lot of people, whether directly or indirectly. It's wise for us to listen to our intuition and follow its guidance, because like I said, it's tapped into other possibilities and other timelines that are coexisting now with this now moment that we're experiencing ourselves in, and it can guide us through that future understanding of what will happen and what will be all the ramifications of this choice that we're making now. It could guide us and it could influence us in this present moment to make the best choice for the greatest number of people possible and bring the greatest amount of good to the world through that choice that we're making right now. And I know that it may not always seem significant, the choices that we're making now, but we don't always know the ripple effects of our choices in every now moment and all the people that will be directed by that choice, whether directly or indirectly. So listening to our intuition, like I said, would be our highest course of action, our wisest decision. And that's why I believe it's important for us to become more attuned and more skilled at listening to our intuition. So with that understanding in mind, let's begin and talk about how we can improve our ability to listen to our intuition. Let's start off by following this very simple premise. Our intuition is always speaking to us, but we're not always attuned to hearing it. We are either too numbed out, too zoned out, too distracted, too just loud in the head to be able to tune in and listen to it. Because our intuition doesn't often scream and yell at us. It's more like a very subtle, gentle whisper in our ears. And so therefore we have to be attuned to hear that guidance. So the premise that we're starting off with is that our intuition is always speaking to us, but we're not always attuned to hearing it, and that we are possibly too distracted to hear it. So first, to set the foundation for these practices that we're going to add that are actually going to enhance our ability to listen to our intuition, to set the foundation for those practices, we first have to do two things. One, eliminate what is distracting us, what is keeping us in that numbed out, zoned out, tuned out, distracted state. We have to cut those things out. So that's the first step. And then the second step is to kind of set the soil or plow the field, make the soil of our inner being ready for that guidance, for that intuitive guidance to be more received by us. So let's begin by removing the obstacles to that peace, to that attunement, that ability to hear our intuition. In my opinion, there are two main things right now in our society that are most blocking our ability to hear our intuition, and that more than anything else are keeping us in a numbed out, zoned out state. You probably already know and can guess what those things are, but I'll just go ahead and mention them even though they're kind of obvious to most of us. The first thing is social media. And as awesome as social media is, like for example, you're watching this on a social media platform right now, and it's giving us this ability, this beautiful ability, this very powerful ability to communicate instantaneously, an ability which previous to this generation and this time has always been impossible for any other generation, which I truly believe is also conducive and the reason why our generation and our time is evolving so quickly in their consciousness, in the awakening of their awareness to higher and greater intelligence and awareness. The thing that's making that the most possible, I truly believe, is the rise of these social media platforms. But simultaneously with those things, it's like a double-edged sword that has its benefits but also has its side effects. Just like anything pretty much in life, it has its benefits, it has its duality, the benefits and the negatives. So the negatives of the social media platforms are that they keep us, especially when we're on them for too much and when we're on them without intention, they keep us in a zoned out, zombied out state. They keep us very dumbed down, very distracted, very unable to listen to our own intuition, and just very distracted by the outside noise versus our inner harmony and symphony that is our intuition. It keeps our focus out there versus in here. So when we're not mindful when we use these apps and tools, then they lead to a zombied out state of being for most of us. And we all fall into that trap, at least most of us. I certainly fall into that trap where I'm just mindlessly scrolling and zombied out and zoned out. And I know for a fact in those times, in those states, I am much more likely not to hear my intuition because I'm too tuned out to be able to really listen, and not just listen with our ears, but listen with our hearts and our inner receiver, and get those subtle messages that our intuition is always sending us. So that's the first thing. Social media platforms and their effect on our awareness and how they keep us in a numbed out, zoned out state. The first thing to set the foundation for everything else that is to follow in this video, the first thing to set the foundation for that and to increase our ability to hear our intuition and prepare the soil, so to speak, for those practices that I'm going to share with you further down in the video. For those practices to be the most effective, the first thing that we have to eliminate or reduce or be mindful of is how we use social media and how often are we mindlessly scrolling on there and are completely tuned out, because that is keeping us stuck in a pattern of being outside dependent versus inside attuned. And when we are in that state, it is very rare and is very unlikely that we will be able to hear our intuition. So that's the first thing. The second thing is entertainment in any form that is also keeping us distracted. You can consider social media an entertainment source for sure, but also here I would include things such as Netflix, video games, sports, even like watching sports all the time mindlessly, or whatever else it may be for us that's an entertainment source that we are consuming mindlessly. All those things can be a hindrance in our ability to hear our intuition. So once these obstacles are removed, now we are actually prepared and are starting to prepare ourselves to be able to introduce some practices that will enhance our ability to hear our intuition. So the foundation first has to be set for the building to be built. And we are now doing that work of setting the foundation. And the first step of it is removing these distractions in those forms that I just mentioned with you. The second thing that helps our ability to listen to our intuition and again continue to set the foundation for these practices that we'll follow are really these elements that I feel like are the basics to being able to listen to our inner knowing. And those basics are as followed. Solitude. I believe solitude is a key ingredient in being able to hear our intuition. I'm not saying that our intuition doesn't speak to us when we're in a room full of people, but solitude has an effect on our awareness in a way that it shifts its focus. Like if the lens is looking that way, it shifts it back and it helps us focus within. So solitude, especially in the beginning stages of wanting to improve your ability to listen to your intuition, solitude is a key ingredient in that formula. Another key ingredient is silence or quiet or peace or stillness. These are all kind of like the same thing, albeit a little bit different from each other. But silence is another key ingredient in that formula of setting the foundation or preparing the soil for our intuition to become enhanced, especially with these tools that we're going to introduce in a little bit that actually work directly with enhancing our ability to hear our intuition. These tools won't be as effective without this soil or foundation being prepared first. So silence and solitude, and in that silence you can say quiet, stillness, presence. These things are kind of intertwined for me, but if you want to separate, you can say, silence, solitude, and stillness/presence. These three things are some of the most impactful and important elements to get right before we start introducing these practices. Another element that is way less spoken about is, I just wrote down, innocence. And I know that's kind of vague, but I'm going to explain it now in these terms. Forgiveness of self and others, or removing guilt, shame, these sort of things. Because these kind of emotions and low vibrations, these are as low as you can go on the human experience ladder. And I'll put a map right up here. This is the map of the levels of consciousness by Dr. David R. Hawkins, which in my experience most accurately exemplifies and demonstrates the levels of life and this human journey that we can go through. And as you can see, guilt and shame are of the lowest nature of emotions that we can ever experience, and they keep us down. They're like these very heavy weights that we're wearing around our ankles that are keeping us stuck to this earthly physical reality, this duality, this stuckness, this heaviness. I don't know how else to explain it exactly, but they just keep us stuck and grounded. You can almost think of it as like roots that are growing from the ground and they're wrapping around our feet and keeping us stuck. It's like they're not allowing our consciousness to evolve. And the best thing that helps us get rid of those feelings is forgiveness. Like, I like the story from Jesus in the Bible that says, before you do anything else, and I'm paraphrasing this, so it's not an exact quotation, but before you do anything else, especially of a spiritual nature, go and forgive your brother. I'll add to that, go and forgive yourself, because those two things are intertwined. How you see another is how you will see yourself. So as you forgive your brother, you will also be forgiven yourself, and you will feel that. And as you do this forgiveness practice, as you start forgiving whatever is chaining you and holding you down to the ground, as you start forgiving these things, that's when you will start feeling yourself lifted and out of this mire and illusion of victimhood and guilt and separation and duality and suffering and all these things. Forgiveness is so monumental at reminding us our own innocence, because without that feeling of innocence, we will feel like we're guilty and shameful and ultimately unworthy of hearing our intuition, our inner wisdom. And until we feel worthy of it, we are less likely to believe and put ourselves in that receptive posture to receive that guidance from our intuition. So it's very important that we practice these things that I just mentioned with you, both at the removing of obstacles and distractions, that first element, which has to do with more of a removal aspect, and the second component of preparing the soil, of adding these conditions or creating these conditions for these practices to be added onto it. These conditions of silence, solitude, innocence / forgiveness, creating a feeling of innocence within ourselves that we are worthy to receive that guidance. And another thing is stillness and presence. These things are crucial at setting the soil. And just like the right seed won't grow in the wrong soil or a soil that is unprepared, so won't these practices yield the fruits that they are supposed to and that they are able to if this soil is unprepared. So we're going to prepare the soil, and these are the crucial components that go into that preparation. So once this soil is prepared, once this foundation is set, now we can begin building the building and adding these powerful tools of hearing our intuition. So now on to the fun part and what this whole video is all about. These are the 4 things that if you begin implementing in your life, you will see a significant and experience a significant increase in your ability and in your attunement to be able to tune in to your intuition and hear the messages and the guidance that it has in store for you. The first thing that will help you on that journey, and the first tool that I want to share with you in this video as one of the main tools to help you improve your ability to listen to your intuition, is prayer. And prayer is very powerful in helping us increase our ability to listen to our intuition for 2 important reasons. And those 2 reasons are as follows. Prayer sets the direction for our mind to be focused. And that direction and intention is very important. So prayer, especially in the form of asking for guidance, that type of prayer is very powerful at focusing our attention and our awareness. So once we ask for that guidance, if we are still, we shall receive that guidance. Ask and you shall receive. And just like that phrase says, as we ask in prayer for guidance and we set that direction for our mind to be focused and attuned at receiving that guidance, and then we put ourselves in a receptive posture, then we will receive that guidance that we've been seeking. And our intuition, or as I would like to call it, the Holy Spirit, those two things are interchangeable for me personally, as I'm a student of a set of books called A Course in Miracles, and that terminology is very much built in to that thought system. So I use that languaging as well interchangeably, but for the sake of this video, we're gonna stick with the word intuition as that inner wisdom and as that inner teacher. But for me, prayer is the first key component that helps us listen to our intuition. And like I said, it's for two important reasons. One, it sets the direction for our mind and for our awareness to focus. And then two, it puts us in a receptive posture. So, and this is more of a conscious act or a conscious choice that you have to make to put yourself in that receptive posture once the prayer has been said. But this is what the second thing that I'm going to share with you is going to help you with. The second thing that I'm going to share with you in the form of these tools that are going to help you listen to your intuition is meditation. Meditation is crucial. It's the most important and key component of hearing your intuition, because if you are not silent, if you are not present, I will go as far as saying never hear your intuition, because it's so important and crucial to your ability to hear your intuition, to be silent, to be aware, to be still. And meditation is a practice that helps all those elements be enhanced and expand and grow, and it enables our ability, our natural ability to hear our intuition, to be enhanced as well. So meditation in this form that we're speaking about it is really a practice in reception. So you can think of prayer as more of the radiative component of this equation, and you can think of meditation as more of the receptive part of this equation. So meditation helps us receive that guidance that we have sought in prayer. So now that doesn't mean that the prayer won't be answered, but if we don't increase our ability to listen, then the answers of our prayers may often go unheard. And that's the main reason that we want to meditate. So like I said, this equation is twofold. The prayer is a radiative aspect of it, or the more yang aspect of it in Chinese medicine or Chinese terminology, the yin yang. It's more of the yang element of it, because you're putting that intention and desire out. And the meditation is more of the receptive or the yin element of it, where you're listening, you're trying to be more receptive to what the guidance may be for you. So without meditation, the prayer may often be in vain. Now, not truly, but it's that it will go, the messages from it will go unheard by us if we're not practiced in listening, which ultimately is what meditation is. Now, I'll share with you right here a simple practice of meditation. And this is how I began implementing meditation into my day-to-day life. The first part of this is to just set a timer for 20 minutes. And ideally, you want to implement this practice into your morning routine as much as possible, because before you set out to go about your day, it's very important to get your mind right and get your vibration right, for lack of a better word. It's very important to set that soil, set that foundation. And this meditation practice, it would not be applicable without that soil that we help prepare in the first stage of this video. So set that timer for 20 minutes, sit down in a comfortable position, whether on a chair or sitting down in a lotus position or whatever is comfortable for you. Even laying down could work. But for the first few meditations, I highly recommend that you don't lay down, because you need as much focus as possible to do this practice. Sit down, set that timer for 20 minutes at least, and just listen and be. So you can begin to listen to the sounds around you. You can feel your feet on the ground. You can feel your buttocks on the ground. You can feel your back on the chair if you're sitting on a chair. And you can start to just attune your senses to what is around you. And slowly and surely, these thoughts will also come in of like, oh, I got to do this today, or oh, I need to call that person, or X, Y, and Z. And all these thoughts, just try to be watchful of them and pay attention to them without attaching onto them. So most often what happens is when we have a thought, then we feel obligated to answer that thought. It's like we feel obligated to pursue it where it's trying to take us. It's almost like a spam caller that's calling us, and we feel obligated to answer that call. But we're not obligated in the same way that we're not obligated to answer to these thoughts. These thoughts are just passing like clouds on the surface of the sky, and we don't necessarily have to chase them or be persuaded by them in following them in where they're trying to take us. We are the master of our mind, and we get to choose what we want to focus on. And that's what meditation helps us do. So sit down, 20 minutes, listen, and slowly but surely, as these practice sessions go on, you will begin to feel yourself more and more lighter and more skilled at just listening and at just being. So once this ability is enhanced within you to just be and not do, this ability will enable you and maximize your inherent ability to hear your intuition. So without meditation, you can pretty much forget wanting to hear your intuition, because it's that difficult to receive that subtle whisper that our intuition speaks with, and in the form that it speaks to us. It's very difficult to hear those subtle whispers if you're not attuned at hearing them. And meditation helps us hear them. So the first part of these tools, and these two go hand in hand, was prayer. Prayer is the setting of direction for your mind, and it's a setting of intention, but also simultaneously putting yourself in a receptive posture. And fun fact here, prayer in the ancient or the traditional old way of referring to it, prayer was actually very similar to meditation. In the ancient times, in the ancient days, what they meant of prayer was actually very similar to meditation, which was a very receptive, contemplative way of being. But over time and over centuries, that meaning has gone kind of lost. So to bring attention to that component of true prayer, we'll use the word meditation because it's more accurate in the way we use it now. So prayer is the first component of that equation, and then meditation is the second part. Again, prayer is the radiative and meditation is the receptive part of that twofold equation of these set of tools that will help our ability to hear our intuition to be enhanced. So these two tools go together, but they are part of this 4-tool pack that I've put together for you. So let's begin and jump into the third tool that can help us increase our ability, our inherent ability to hear our intuition more clearly. The third tool is journaling or talking to yourself in third person, like you're talking to a video camera, like I'm doing right now. One of my earliest experiences with getting massive hint of intuitive download, for lack of a better word, intuitive wisdom, just like that potent hit of just that intuitive guidance, intuitive knowing. One of my earliest experiences of having or getting one of those was when I was in my old apartment in college, and I decided that to clear my head, I'm going to place a video camera and start talking to it out loud. So I did. I was just going on about, things that were on my mind at that time. And then all of a sudden, I just got this most clear download, this most clear answer to what I was trying to figure out at the time. And it just came as a result of me talking out loud to myself. And then later, I got into journaling in the form of writing things down. So if I had a question, I would write down the question, and then I would write down my thoughts about it, or just my thoughts about a certain topic or thing that was, bothering me or was weighing on my mind at that time. I would just write them down in a journal. And both of those methods have been tremendously helpful at helping me get those intuitive downloads, that intuitive clarity. And so I highly recommend that method for you, whether it's journaling, on paper, journaling in your notes on a computer, or talking out loud to a camera in like a third person kind of way. Any of those methods can be very helpful at increasing your ability to listen to your intuition. But the helpfulness of these tools will only be maximized if you meditate and pray first. I truly believe if you do those things, those two things, this third component may almost be not needed, or its effectiveness will be much more maximized had you prayed and meditated first. Those two things really help enhance journaling and make it much more potent once you do it, because your mind and your being is more clear, and it's almost like you're more of a receptive channel for whatever is going to flow on that paper in your journaling session. So those two things followed by journaling can just immensely impact your ability to hear your intuition. So that was the third tool, journaling, whether to a video camera or on a notepad or in your computer, any of those things. Journaling in any of those ways can be tremendously helpful at helping you increase your ability to hear your intuition. The fourth tool, or the fourth way to increase your ability to hear your intuition, is getting into flow activities or flow inducive type of activities. And some of those activities could include things such as Tai Chi or Qigong, which is a practice I practice. I actually have some videos on Qigong and some Qigong exercises on my channel. I'll tag one up right here. This is a video that I put together with my Sifu, my Qigong teacher, who has been practicing Qigong for over 20 years. You can sign up on my newsletter and you will receive that free exercise that is very powerful at creating an inner stillness and an inner silence within you, so that you can become more attuned and more aware of what your intuition is telling you. So Qigong and Tai Chi, these very flow, slow, mindful practices. I will include yoga in that as well. Maybe not power yoga, but more of a gentle yoga flow. Those things can definitely help you get in that flow state. And basically what I mean by flow state is when you're doing something rhythmic, repetitive, mindful, slow most often. When you're doing something like that, your mind gets to this place where it kind of shuts down on the noise, on the background noise. It's almost like there's this like constant air condition that's on in our minds at all times, the humming of those sounds, of those thoughts in the background, that gets quiet through some of these flow activity exercises. And so that exercise that I mentioned with you earlier, that was linked up there, that could help you tremendously with that. Also tag that in the description box if this one had already, has already passed and you can't see it. But the link in the description box can help you practice that one Qigong exercise that I have shared with you with my Sifu. But another thing that can help you, another type of flow activity that can help you a lot is running. Running is actually one of my earliest forms of meditation. The way I learned meditation was through running. I started running kind of long distance. For me, it's not long at all, but like it was long for what I was used to doing. And that kind of running, that consistent pace, it was more like jogging to be honest, but that consistent pace, that repetitive motion really helped my emotions and my mind to quiet down. And during those times, during those runs, and especially post-run, that 20-minute post-run high, those were some of the most clear times that I would be the most clear-headed and just get very clear intuitive downloads. And what those were induced by was running, which is a very rhythmic, repetitive kind of motion or flow-inducing activity. Another thing could be dance. I mean, I know for sure dance can bring about those same feelings because it's flowy, it's rhythmic, it's repetitive at times, and it's a practice that is best done when you kind of shut down your mind and you're not super trying to like focus on every move, So things like ecstatic dance or just dancing, feeling free, like those things can really bring about that same flow type of feeling that I'm talking about in this point. I don't know if lifting weights would necessarily be a good one to mention here, but things such as kettlebell flows or things that are repetitive where you're not doing something different, I think that lifting weights would be just best reserved for kind of enhancing your ability to think, but not necessarily enhancing your ability for your mind to be quiet. Now, I'm not saying that's true across the board and in your case, but in my case, lifting weights usually kind of enhances my ability to think versus quieting down my mind. But certain activities like kettlebell flows and things like that are more rhythmic, more repetitive, more flowy, those kind of things can also be mentioned here. Although I would try to steer you a little bit away from lifting weights as a part of flow inducing activity, because that stops a lot and starts again. Like you do a set, you stop, start again, and that doesn't have the same kind of rhythmic flow to it, although it does enhance your ability to hear your thoughts more clearly. So for this part, things like running, yoga, qigong, tai chi, dance, those kind of things would be a lot more helpful at inducing the kind of flow state that we're talking about here. So check those activities out and check that exercise out if you want to practice a little bit of qigong and see the effects of it for yourself. Those types of activities really help quiet the mind, which when coupled by meditation, prayer, journaling, can create a super combo of enhancing your ability to hear your intuition. So I hope those 4 tools were helpful for you. I hope that you put them into practice in a systematic, strategic way into your day-to-day life and see the benefits of them for yourself, because I truly believe that these 4 tools are some of the most powerful tools in existence to help you hear your intuition more effectively. But you have to be patient and you have to practice these things regularly to get the most effect from them, because our mind is so habituated in a certain way of thinking and being, which most often is a very busy way of being, is a very non-conducive to hearing your intuition way of being. So it takes a lot of reprogramming and retraining and practicing to reorient the mind and our being to hear that intuitive guidance and intuitive wisdom. But if we do these practices and if we do them diligently and mindfully and faithfully, then we will reap the fruits that they have to offer. And there's no better fruit than our intuitive guidance, because any outer exterior teacher that you'll ever need, the need for that will be 1,000 times lessened when you tap into your own ability to hear your own intuition, because your own inner intuition is your own best inner teacher. It's your own best inner advisor and inner guidance counselor. And that ability, when it's maximized and enhanced, it will enhance and improve every single aspect of your life, because you will begin to make the best decisions for your life, for your family, for everybody. Because like I said in the beginning of the video, intuition is always thinking the best for all at all times.
Explain this. I have like a sixth sense.
The Peter tingle. That's what you're talking about, right? It's not working though. I heard it wasn't working right now. Is it?
It is working. Well, I don't know if
Good.
it's working.
Okay, so you got Peter tingle. That's the plan. I'm gonna go get your friends. You get that Peter tingle back online.
Come on, Peter Tingle.
So it's always thinking in a maximal way, maximal impact, maximal benefit. So when you learn to listen to it, you are literally getting the best guidance in the world that you can get for yourself in any situation. And it's truly a life-changing ability that is inherent. We just have been shut off from it. So now we're learning to reconnect to it. It's a natural thing. And once you lean into it and tap into it, you're going to be reminded of how natural it is to listen to it. And I truly believe that it can enhance every single aspect of your lives, like I mentioned earlier. And I hope that you put these practices into practice in your own life and see the benefits of them for yourself. Again, thank you for watching this video. I'm glad that you spent this time with me, and I'm grateful for your support and your time. If you want to work with me one-on-one related to anything I just discussed in this video or anything that I speak about on my channel, and you would like to meet one-on-one with me so that we can go deeper in a personalized matter for you and talk about what could best serve you in this present moment, then please check out the link in the description, as I have started offering one-on-one coaching that is tailored and personalized for you and for your needs at this present moment. And that will be the most effective way and the most maximal way that I can ever be of support and help to you. So if you want to check that out, please check out the link in the description and apply for a one-on-one call with me, and we'll talk very soon. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in that one-on-one container. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button so that this video gets shared to more people and more people see it on their homepage on YouTube. And if you are so inclined, maybe even share it with a friend who is trying to enhance their ability to hear their intuition, as I believe our intuition is our best teacher and our best guidance counselor, and it can help us more than anything else. So again, thank you. My name is PJ, and I'm grateful for your time and support, and I hope to see you very soon. Take care.